Hello there, on GPs with Kevin Magee. Today, Scotty and I are going to flush out what happened at Le Mans and some pretty dramatic vision from last weekend and what we're going to see this weekend at Catalunya. Scotty, how you going over there?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Kev. Coming to you live from my motel room in Mudgee, downtown Mudgee, the home of the Mudgee Dragons, mate. What a weekend Le Mans was, mate. It didn't disappoint. Rain in the early races, but we had a bit of a dry run in the MotoGP. So, what do you take out of that whole race weekend there, Kev?
Absolutely, and on top of that, Yamaha was second last year. They're down the bottom this year where Aprilia were last year. KTM in third, same place as last year, and Honda in fourth, so they're the same as well. And Yamaha have changed to the V4 instead of the inline four. They were the only inline four on the grid. So they've gone a year ahead of the 850s with the development of a V4. I mean, I rode the inline four in the Suzuka 8 Hour for years against the V4 Honda, very dominant bike, and especially in the Suzuka 8 Hour. And Yamaha have finally done it, but they had the old VMAX back in what was that, mid '80s, the 1200 V4. That's one of the only ones that they've built. So it's funny how it worked. But then they had the Yamaha when I was racing the Grand Prix, had the V4 with the twin counter rotating cranks, which nulled the gyroscopic effect of one single crankshaft. So just like your counter rotating props on your outboards and that sort of stuff, which you know a bit about.
Mm.
Anyway, and ironically, Honda in the 500 two-stroke era of Grand Prix had the inline four. So it's almost like one does it with one way with the two-stroke and the other one does it the other way with the four-stroke. So, anyway, that's another story for another day.
Why would they have changed now? Given that, well, next year we go to the 850s. We're on the Pirelli tyres, so it's a completely different change going forward.
I think because of that change going to the 850s, they're going to get used to the V, even if it's in its 1,000 guys, and meanwhile be developing the 850. So they've basically got an extra year up their sleeve, and no doubt they would have been planning well before they let the cat out of the bag anyway. So with everything changing and with Sofagoo coming across from World Superbikes, 3 times World Superbike champ, the Turk, get him used to it, and then next year we should have an advantage being down the Pirelli road on the World Superbikes.
Yeah, yeah. So, mate, Martin on the podium in first spot. That's his first in probably 2 years, I'd say. What do you think about that, mate?
Yeah, brilliant. Like 24, he won the championship, and 25, he was just injured, re-injured, missed a heap of races early on, come back, had a massive one, third round in, I think, at was it Texas? Anyway, yeah, he literally had no chance of defending the title. Marquez won it last year, and now Marc Marquez is in the, you know, doldrums with injuries,
Mm.
especially after France, and hasn't been fit all year. Has finally come out of the bag with that screw or whatever it was, rubbing on the radial nerve and causing shoulder pain, and it also causes weakness. So he said, in his words, he's been riding with 1.5 arms. So kind of done a pretty good job, but with that difficulty, I think that's also led to some of the crashes, which has compounded his injuries. Now he's going to miss at least the next two and try and make it back for Jello, but it's a bit of watch this space.
Do you think he was riding a bit harder just to compensate for the lack of bike he had under his legs?
Yeah, and I think the weakness too, because you've got to remember, Scotty, you've got all the aero, so they're harder to flick around side to side and all that sort of stuff. So if you're weak in the upper body, you're really behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, righto. And Basecki, mate. Um, I mean, it's the ultimate, isn't it? The speed, everything else. I mean, the Aprilias are just just soaring, mate. They're way out in front now, and I can't see anybody catching them. I can't see the Ducatis turning that around. Not with Marquez out at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. And there was like top six in the championship at this point last year. So if you look at Aprilia, the first podium lockout in MotoGP, but I went back through the years. Aprilia's very first 500cc foray was in 1994 at Jerez with Loris Reggiani on a 250 twin out of the Grand Prix, obviously, with a capacity increase, probably a bit of bore and stroke, a bit of both to 380. And ninth place wasn't bad at all. So they did the next four, and then they come back at the 14th round. So that was right near the end of the season. And then they went away after that. And then they came back with the RS Cube, and that was a 3-cylinder, highly technological with first fly-by-wire throttle and pneumatic valves in the 4-stroke engine. So they've sort of had a dip there for a few years, and then when the claiming rules teams was out, they were able to use the RSV4, basically the super bike, not a prototype bike like MotoGP, and they sort of had a second level class within MotoGP with that CRT rules, and they were pretty good in that as well. And then obviously we all know they come back in, I think it was 2015 off the top of my head. I'm in a bit of overload at the moment. But and since then, just worked hard, and they're very clever. Not a massive outfit, but they've done a lot. And like they've been in motocross, everything. They built those V twin super motard bikes and all kinds of stuff. So they are Aprilia are one of the ones that definitely looks outside the box.
Yeah, mate. Just on Marquez's crash there, there didn't appear to be anything left of that bike. I haven't seen a bike disintegrate like that in a long time. I mean, for the tyre to come away from the rim and everything else just smashed to pieces. That was one hell of a violent crash, mate.
Yeah, he was so lucky he didn't get, touched by it either. So it looked like from the videos it was pretty close to him. And it was definitely a wreck. I reckon you might salvage the front sprocket. That'd be about all you'd get out of that. So, yeah, it definitely flew apart.
Yeah. So
Actually,
Bagnaia,
the one word I used for it, it was a really violent crash
yeah, yeah,
for
no,
both bike and rider.
yeah, 100%. Bagnaia's race, mate. With as far as it seems to me that the Ducatis are very good at the one lap at the moment. That one lap race they have,
The qualifying.
the qualifying. They're very good at the qualifying. The Ducatis, aren't they?
Yeah, they can turn up the screws then, but unfortunately the race is 21, 22, 25, 27, whatever it is laps, and you only need to lead one of those laps, and that's the last one.
Yeah, righto. Trackhouse, mate. Move on to Trackhouse. Great posse.
Yeah, unbelievable. And
Your favourite team.
say again.
Your favourite team.
Yeah, they're going good, and
The
it's good to
Outsiders.
see. They're second in the teams race too, which Aprilia factory obviously leads. So Royal had a bit of problem with his bike. It caught fire in one of the practices. But and Agura during the French Grand Prix at Le Mans, he punted off the French favourite Johan Zarco early on, and he ended up on the podium. So he was really pushing hard right from the get go.
Yeah. And Quadraro, mate. How was his race?
Yeah, he tried real hard at the start. I think he ran a front soft to gain an advantage early on, but then he just faded, excuse me, back through the field once, the advantage of the front soft tyre, because it was never going to go the distance. But at least the French crowd enjoyed it for a little while he was up the front
Yeah,
second,
yeah,
and then just slowly as the tyre goes away, and you're really going to lose the front end there, and you don't want that to happen. So he had no other choice in front of the
yeah,
home crowd.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, mate, the riders' teams compared to last year so far, how do you see it? Besides Aprilia just catapulting in every, whether it's a sprint race, the qualifying. I mean, they're just sort of outclassing everybody else, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. I mean, they've got the ideal bike. It's good under hard braking. It does well on the turn in. It's got good corner speed. Gets through the corner well, keeps turning on the throttle, and certainly isn't slow. And having mentioned certainly you're not being slow, um, we'll go to the track for a minute. It's 1,047 metre long front straight, and it's a fast entry. It's about fourth gear onto it. We all remember Rossi and Lorenzo there back in the, I don't know, 2009 or whatever it was. And Rossi ducked under him into the last corner and won it, and that just put more fuel on their fire. Anyway, that was great teammates. Yeah, 1,047 metres straight. Brad Binder's got the fastest speed on the KTM back in 24 at 358.8. So a nick under 360. 360 is exactly 100 metres per second. So you think if you're going down there and you miss your braking marker by a tenth of a second, you've gone 10 metres too far down the track. So you're already off the track, if you
Yeah.
know what I mean, even though you're at roughly the 100, 120 metre braking marker, and it's quite a tight corner, the first one, second gear. So you've got to be absolutely spot on your braking markers over
Yeah.
there. Otherwise, you go through that loop.
Okay, mate. Moto2, mate. Agius second and Gonzalez first. One and two, mate. What'd you think of that race?
Brilliant. And, Senna had a bad start to the year and that, and bit of injury and, that bad luck with losing one of the team members. So really had a couple of offs and then just bang, two wins and second in the championship to his teammates. So Senna's going great guns at the moment. Off the pace a little bit in Le Mans, but anyway, he is hoping he's back on it at Catalunya. And Catalunya is a funny track for traction because it's its layout. It's inviting to pass, especially to go underneath people, but you run out of room sooner than you think. And
Yeah.
the track it's quite slippery, but it actually wears the tyres quite a lot. So they've got to watch the tyre wear during the course of the race over there as well. So that'll be interesting in practice and down to qualifying.
Yeah, so gets to the end of the year and Senna builds his points tally. What are the team orders you seem to think there?
Well, I don't know. Might be a bit of passport come into it or might not. Might depend. Yeah,
Yeah,
not sure. Depends
yeah,
who's paying the money, I suppose, and maybe Aegis is paying some more than Gonzalez. Who
yeah,
knows?
yeah. Moto3, mate. How'd you think that race went in the wet?
Yeah, it was a bit of a crazy one, and that was what was supposed to be delivered for MotoGP, but they ended up in the dry. Joel Kelso tried the soft front, and think it same as what happened to Quadraro. It just went away from him a little bit as the race went on. So Um, you're mad if you do, and you're bad if you don't. But you got to have a go, and you got to go with your gut feeling, especially at Le Mans. The track conditions, the way the track's pretty slippery in the wet, so they just had to do it, and it was cut down to a 13 lap race because of the wet start procedure. I think MotoGP warm up was started 20 minutes late, so they had to run the wet start schedule for the guys in Moto3 and shorten it down to the 13 laps to get full points. And that's like the shortest race distance they can do and still give out the 25 points, etc.
Yeah, right. And just on the mate, we had a person write in, Bruce Drury from Maitland, asked how the bikes for next year will be going. Any goss on that, mate, at all? Anything come up? Because I noticed, that they're well, the 850s, they're only what I think close to 20 or 15 GPs away. Um,
17. I counted that up for you. 17.
Seven, right, yeah, mile race number, mate. So yeah, mate. So who's going to hit the ground running? They've obviously been testing the 850s, or somebody has.
Yeah, they have been. Bulliger's been out and about on them. I'm sure Michele Piro's been on the Ducati. And the other manufacturers would be mad if they weren't doing the same thing. They're allowed to. Um, and I'm assuming, I'll find out for the next show, but I'll be assuming that the 850s turn up at the post-race test at Valencia after the MotoGP's finish on the 1,000 at the 22nd round at Valencia, they'd roll out the 850s Tuesday and get right into 850 stage of MotoGP and the
Yeah.
Pirelli tyres for that matter.
Yeah, just on Trackhouse, mate. We'll just switch over to Speedway for the short period. Casper Wardja won, a young kid from Poland. He absolutely killed it. Dan Bewley was in second, and Smarslik finished third. But the German track was horrific, mate. It was really torn to shreds, and they overwatered it, and there were long grades and everything else that goes on, and it just takes me. I'm sitting there watching the TV and just think, why are they having a meeting? They had a world meeting with a lot of the top riders in it for a World Team Cup qualifying the night before. So obviously that's going to tear the track up. I know you get the people in, you get the bums on seats. You know, whilst they've all travelled to Germany for the weekend, they get the 2-for-1. But the main show is coming off as second rate, and they really need to get in front of that. Yeah, but anyway, and just on what you and I touched on the Marquez crash before, mate. Just the violence in that crash, mate. What did you take from that exactly? Because that bike, he looked like I won't go into it, but he came off at second best, obviously.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Marquez was one of the first ones to really save the front end losers on his knee and elbow and the rest of it, and get away with many. I remember one at Phillip Island in turn 10 MG, where he ended up right back at on the inside of the track, and it was an amazing save. And many of those and other riders started doing it. And there's been quite a few since he sort of broke that open. Obviously, with all the cameras these days, you'd see it quite clearly. And what we're seeing now, and in recent times, let me say this: Razgatlioglu in the wet at Jerez in turn 13, the last turn. Jack was right behind him, and Jack had thought he'd crashed, but Sofoglu had it on his knee and elbow, and like he's lost the front, ran wide and deep into the hairpin, and then he's still got the wheels on the ground, so because he's pushing so hard on his knee and elbow, and the bike's actually tracked right around back onto the racing line. So that's a bit of a concern. And then last weekend in Le Mans, I saw one of the VR46 riders lost it front in three and did the same thing, tracked out over the outside curb and then came back across literally at turn 4 and crossed the racing line there. So um, that's not a good thing to happen because as a following rider, normally when a bike crashes and, starts skating, it just skates off at a tangent in a straight line and then, gets in the gravel and starts tumbling and a little bit of which way or whatever. But now you can't really judge that. And I remember in the Marco Simoncelli crash, Colin Edwards and Valentino Rossi were behind him from memory, and he was pretty lanky, gangly rider, and he was a bit of a wild boy, and he was having a good go, and he was really good at it, and he was trying to save it the same way, and the bike tracked more around the corner, and I think Colin went to the outside and Rossi went to the inside. So, yeah, it sort of puts a bit of a spanner in the works when you're behind a rider that's crashing and he's trying to save it. So, I don't know where it'll go from here, but that's just something I've seen evolve, especially in these last few weeks.
Well, okay, Kev. Let's look forward to this weekend, mate. The Catalunya race, mate. What do you think that track has in store for us, mate?
It's a tricky one. There's plenty of points where you can get sucked in, especially down into turn 10 at the end of the back straight. We've seen some massive crashes over the years down there. But anyway, on a brighter note, I think it's going to be hard because they've got to look after their tyres to make the distance. You've got to have something to fight with at the end. So as I said before, it's slippery and it wears the tyres. So it's a recipe for crap to happen. Let's put it that way, in over race distance. But I reckon I might be looking at. I think Bastianini's going to go good there. And Agura, I will say again, will be a good one. And I think it's pretty hard to go past Jorge Martin at this point as well. Bezecchi will be in there somewhere. So it's a bit of a mixed bag from my point.
Yeah, so any if you're not on the complete package, that track will actually show your weaknesses, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely does. And, Yamaha are going to get hurt because of the 1,047 metre straight. Maybe not too badly if they can get really fast through that last fourth gear corner onto the straight and get a good entry. But you sort of still need plenty of horsepower to push you down to the braking area. Anyway, we'll just have to wait and see what goes there. But as I said before too, Brad Binder was fastest on the KTM in 2:24 at 358.8. So nick under 100 metres per second.
So, mate, the turn 10 hairpin, that's always provided a bit of hair raising stuff over the years.
Yeah, definitely. We've seen 3 or 4 go down there years ago, and I can't remember exactly off the top of my head who it was. Might have been Ian Oney, might have had something to do with it. But anyway, I won't blame him. But it was, the big guns in the MotoGP championship, and it's very tempting. As you say, it's downhill. Go up the inside, and you're going to lose the front. You're going to take out the guy you're trying to pass, and all mayhem's going to break loose, especially if it's a last lap manoeuvre for the win.
Yeah, right, mate. So, mate, let's go to the all-important top 3 for Catalunya. Your picks, mate?
Martin, Bastianini, Agura, third.
Okay, well, I've gone Martin as well, and I went Aguirre in third, but I've said Bezecchi in second because I just don't think Aprilia are putting a foot wrong right now. So they're my picks. But I really do hope Aguirre gets up there too, and I'll put him in for a third spot, mate. Well, thanks for joining us this week, folks, on the GPs with Kevin Magee. We'll see you again next week on the wrap-up from Catalunya. Over to you, Kev, and I'll see you next week as well, mate.
Yeah, good on you, Scotty, and thanks, folks. Enjoy next week, and especially this weekend at Catalunya.